All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a new film that's opened at the cinema. It's called One Battle After Another. Stick around for my review. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about a little film called One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, and a couple of black people whose names I can't remember. And, it's been, touted as the big Oscar-winning movie of the year. What is it? What is it exactly? Come on, you're out there and report from Tiger Mountain. You're saying, what is it, Rich? What's the film about? Okay, I'll tell you. Here it comes. You ready? It's basically Antifa the Movie, okay? Now, there might be people from Antifa who want to see themselves portrayed on screen. They might like that. They might like it. So this is the film for you. So, there's more to it than that, But the first 40 minutes is Antifa the Movie. It's basically a bunch of, left-wing, they're terrorists. Let's call the spade a spade, ladies and gentlemen. They're terrorists. They may be similar to a group like the Beta Meinhof, a group like that. And the first 40 minutes is about them. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of them. He is attracted to this. How would you describe her? I mean, she's the love interest. This black woman. I don't remember the actress's name, but she is a black woman, and she is essentially the love interest for Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn, who are two reasonably handsome men. Leonardo DiCaprio is particularly handsome, and Sean Penn, he has a certain rugged charm, you could say. And they are both obsessed to the point of almost insanity with this black woman who you wouldn't, if you got absolutely shit-faced drunk, you wouldn't sleep with her. You know what I mean? But apparently, I don't know why. If they cast Halle Berry, it would have been believable because she's an attractive black woman. Halle Berry is beautiful, And you think, oh, well, she's a left-wing radical, but I don't know. I'd fall for Halle Berry, maybe. I don't know. But they have this absolutely horrid actress, and a character she's playing is a piece of shit. She's a left-wing radical, and when she's caught by the army after killing people and committing all these various terrorist acts, she becomes a rat, and she turns everybody in, and she gets set up in a safe house, and then she fucks off, and leaves everybody, including Leonardo DiCaprio and a daughter that had been born during the revolutionary activities. And then the film cuts to 15 years later, and then, Leonardo DiCaprio's character is a dope-smoking kind of loser who hides away from the world and always thinks someone's out to get him. He has paranoid, conspiratorial fantasies about everything. And then Sean Penn's character, who, was a kind of, he was a kind of, I guess a lieutenant, has now become a colonel, and he's being wooed by a group called the Christmas Adventurers Club, ladies and gentlemen. Now, of course, if you're going to make a film about Antifa, you've got to have a little fa. Because anti is anti-fascism, so you've got to have somebody in the film that represents fascism, and that character is Sean Penn's character. His name Colonel Lockjaw, ladies and gentlemen, which is, of course, very subtle, alliteration that there's something kind of about the right wing. I don't know, Lockjaw, there you go, that's where he came up with that. So then there's a group called the Christmas Adventurers Club, ladies and gentlemen. They're the heroes of the film. They're a group of white nationalists who, they're very, very strict, let's put it this way, about anyone who joins their little white nationalist group has got to have, pretty spotless kind of, racial credentials, ladies and gentlemen. So, they wish to induct Sean Penn into the group, but Sean Penn had this affair with this black radical, who looks like a dog's arsehole, on a bad day in the middle of the sun, in the middle of summer. And, but he apparently fell in love with her. Even though she'd kind of raped him or something, she kind of forced herself on him, but he seemed to have enjoyed that. Maybe he's some weird masochist. So obviously it's like the old metaphor that people who are really racist really do want to sleep with black people. It's like Nazis really do want to sleep with Jews, all that kind of thing. That you always see that trope in movies. So anyway, this is another thing, and so Sean Penn's character, has to sort of attempt to cover up the relationship he had with this black woman. And there is a possibility that he fathered this child that Leonardo DiCaprio is now looking after. And the child is now 16 or 17 or however the whole old she is, played by another actress. I think I remember. Her name is Trace Infinity. There you go. I remember that. Chase Infinity is it, the actress's name? I mean, get a real name. And who the hell is called Chase Infinity? I don't know. I don't think that's a real name. I think maybe it's her middle name or something like that. But anyway, that's the name that she's going by. Chase Infinity. You know, I mean, she's not a particularly good actress, but, you know, I mean, she's there in the film. And so the later half of the film is he gets separated from his daughter, and there's like basically about 90 minutes of sort of a chase, and then, and you know, this, that, and the other. He kind of, Leonardo DiCaprio's on the run. He hooks up with Benicio del Toro, who's sort of in Castro mode. Obviously, he was in Steven Soderbergh's film playing Castro, so he's in Castro mode, helping immigrants. There's all this stuff about immigrants being brought into America. There's a very, well, not subtle, it's ladled on thick, that, you know, it's an anti-immigration, they're a portrayal. The bad guys, supposed bad guys, who are of course the heroes, are anti-immigration. They're rounding up immigrants into like detention centers. That's the backdrop to a lot of this, and obviously it's an attack upon Trump's policies and stuff. You know, so to me, I'm a fan of this filmmaker, Paul Thomas Anderson. He did a film called Hard Eight, which is excellent. He did a film called Boogie Nights, I'm sure most of you have seen. He did a film called There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis, which is a masterpiece. He did a film called The Master about Scientology. That's also a masterpiece. He made some other films. He did a film called Licorice Pizza of late, which was kind of okay, but not very good. But he did a film called some other film where Daniel Day-Lewis plays a perfumer. I can't even remember its name. It was that forgettable. And he's done a few other movies. He did a film called Punch Drunk Love that with, you know, I can't remember the name of the actor, but, you know, that was, some people really liked that film. I didn't particularly like it. The 4 films I really liked, I think are masterpieces, are Hard Eight, Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, and The Master, which I think are all pretty much stone cold masterpieces. So I was excited to see this film. Definitely there is some good filmmaking involved here. The stuff where DiCaprio is on the run, very well done, and there's all this stuff, you know, people fleeing in the night with authorities, you know, kind of police state stuff. You know, that's pretty well done, and there's a really good car chase. And the Christmas Adventurers Club send an assassin out. I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to ruin too much of what the film's about. And then, you know, this Chase Infinity girl ends up at this kind of group of people who are clearly redneck psychopaths, like from Deliverance, who are clearly going to kill her at one stage in the movie. You know, that's all pretty well done, you know. I mean, but, you know, the film is a 3-hour slog. Essentially, all of the characters are ugly, apart from maybe the Chase Infinity character. You could give her a pass. Leonardo DiCaprio's character is a kind of nebbish, kind of a, you know, he just goes with the flow. It seems like he was interested in left-wing politics, mainly to sleep with this black woman. And then, you know, and then he hides away. And, you know, all the left-wing characters are portrayed as rats. All the fascist characters are portrayed as psychopathic bullies. You know, it's just an unpleasant 3 hours, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know, you've got Steven Spielberg praising it. You've got, you know, all these filmmakers praising it. And, you know, I personally think it's a misfire. I think it's a mess. It's 2 movies in one, and I didn't particularly like it. So, I mean, look, it's probably worth seeing if you're interested in this kind of politics. I mean, it's similar to a film called Eddington. I don't know if you've seen that, which dealt with similar kind of, you know, Joaquin Phoenix's character plays a kind of right-winger, and, you know, you've got Pedro Pascal playing a kind of left-wing globalist. And maybe I'll do a report on that for a future report from Tiger Mountain. Apparently, they're not popular. They don't rate that well here at the Unshackled, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I don't give a fuck. I just want to talk about these things. If you don't like it, well, there you go. That's what we talk about sometimes. We do little movie reviews because obviously I'm a filmmaker and I run the Melbourne Underground Film Festival. I'm Dick from Muff, so you'll get the odd film review here on my channel, whether you like it or not. Thank you. Bye.